Welcome to the League of Nerds comic book segment number 177. I'm John Cooney here to talk to you about comics released the 3rd of June 2015, beginning as usual with my first 5, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, and I'll give you a little more depth on them, starting with at number 1, Secret Wars number 3 of 8, All the Devil's Dance. Series writer and event architect Jonathan Hickman explained the relationships of the books, quote, "Big things are only good if people buy in. I'm not just talking about fans. Obviously, we want the fans, but these things aren't good if the creators don't buy in. You have one big book, and of course that gets a lot of attention, but there are satellites. Like with Civil War, the only reason that worked was because there was so much external inertia around it, all the other books that bought in. That's a really important thing, and let's just say all the other creators at Marvel have bought into this thing in such a huge way. I just feel like it's going to be one of those things with lots of stuff for everybody to talk about, for people to grab onto. And even if you don't like the main book, there's so many cool things out there that are coming out around it, so you'll be able to find the book that you can latch onto. Even if you hate me, you'll find something to love in this." Close quote. At number 2, we've got Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 1, the last Spider-Man story. Not even the Amazing Spider-Man is safe from Secret Wars. In this new Marvel universe, Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson, and their daughter have to scrape by to make ends meet, but they have each other. Face front, true believers, this is the one you've been asking for. Series writer Dan Slott discussed the impact of marriage for Peter. Quote, "Spider-Man, when you get down to it, is a character about responsibility, and the second he's a father and a husband, he has a responsibility to share his powers with the world, but suddenly he has 2 people that are his whole world. That changes everything, the complete dynamic of what it means to have great power and great responsibility. You need to be there for your daughter, you need to be there for your wife, in a way that he hasn't had to be there for anyone else, and that drastically changes what it means to be Spider-Man." Close quote. At number 3, we've got All New X-Men number 41. Who are the Utopians, and what secret do they hold that pertains to the future of mutant kind? The All New X-Men may regret finding out. As his X-Men run concludes, when asked if there was anything left out that he wanted to do before leaving, series writer Brian Michael Bendis responded, quote, "Nothing that I'm like, I'm dying to do this. I knew I was leaving a year before you guys knew. I made a list of things that I wanted to make sure I got to. Anything that was worth telling got told. There may be some things that weren't, but there's nothing that I'm like, oh my god. I had this with Avengers too, when you look around and you go, did I miss anything?" Just to add, like with when I wrapped up Avengers, I'm still at Marvel and I'm still under contract. I've just signed for many years to come. God forbid I think of something else, I bet they'd let me find a way to tell it. It's not like, oh my god, I forgot about Cyclops. I'm sure I could find a way in, but the person taking it over is someone I have a very nice relationship with, and I know in my heart that they are going to kill it. I feel very good about the direction of the franchise after me. What's on my plate after X-Men is so all-encompassing that I probably will be very focused on that and stick to that stuff." Close quote. At number 4, we have Star Wars number 6, Luke vs. Boba Fett, Han Solo in Hot Water. This is the comic book you've been looking for. Series writer Jason Aaron expressed what he likes about the setting. Quote, "With Star Wars, there's never really been as much done with those original characters in that specific part of the timeline. Yes, there was a lot of expanded universe stuff over the years, but now that that's not part of the canon anymore, and even then, a lot of the fans reading this new series have only seen the movies, so you're dealing with characters whose every word has been poured over in a way that Spider-Man's can't be. Kieran Gillen and I were talking recently about writing Boba Fett. You could take every line of Fett's dialogue from those original movies and fit it in one tweet. So by nature, when I'm writing Boba Fett, I'm writing more dialogue than he's ever said aloud on screen. It's so strange in some ways as someone who grew up on these movies. But ultimately, for me as a fan, I want to see more of what I fell in love with from those original films. I want to see the next chapter of that story. And even though we've seen the movies, there's still a lot of story left to tell. There's a lot of major beats that take place off screen between those films. As a creator, I've been incredibly excited to grab for as many of those big moments as I possibly can. That's why coming right out of the gate, you had Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker face to face by the end of issue 1. I wanted to show that this wasn't going to be some small off-the-radar adventures for these characters. I want this to feel like a big important book. I want this to feel like it's the connective tissue between episodes 4 and 5, like it's the next chapter of the story we all first fell in love with." Close quote. At number 5, we've got Justice League number 41. The critically acclaimed team of Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok present the much-anticipated extra-sized first chapter of Darkseid War. When the Justice League investigates a series of unexplained murders on Earth, it leads them to the front lines of a war unlike any the DC Universe has ever seen, a battle between the two most powerful villains in existence, Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor. Meet Darkseid's daughter, a mysterious force of evil with a bizarre connection to the Justice League, plus the horrible secret of Superwoman's baby, the ultimate temptation of Batman, Lex Luthor vs. Superman, no holds barred, new villains, new allies, and so much more in the DC event that has been building since Justice League number 1. When asked why Darkseid and Anti-Monitor are fighting, series writer Jeff Johns replied, quote, "I don't want to spoil it, we get into it in the series itself, but I will say they both have different reasons for it, and ultimately the fact that they both go to war and the Justice League's in between, that's really the story. The Justice League learning why they're doing this, and all that is within Darkseid War itself. But the point of it is that there's a connection between one of the Leaguers and ultimately the Darkseid War that will make this a very, very personal story. On the surface, it looks like it's just maybe a big battle, but there's much more to it," close quote. He went on to say, quote, "Our entire reason for doing the book is we just want to make it the biggest, best DC event every month. We want the book Justice League to be the event, and it should be the event because it's the world's greatest heroes and villains in one book. So we're working to make Darkseid War, like every storyline we do, feel like a massive event that's going to affect the characters emotionally, physically, affect the makeup of the team, the mission of the team, the DC Universe. We just want to make it as big as an event book could be, but as a monthly book. Justice League deserves that, and we want to give the readers as much as we can in this. We're putting everything we can into this book," close quote. Rounding out the top 10 at number 6, we've got Darth Vader number 6, The Emperor's Machinations Revealed. Everything changes for Vader. The tale of Vader's transformation from A New Hope to The Empire Strikes Back continues. At number 7, we have Princess Leia number 4 of 5. The Empire's rounding up fugitive Alderaanians. That doesn't sit well with their princess, but what can one woman do against an empire? At number 8, we've got Future Imperfect number 1. On Battleworld, the dictator of dystopia is a familiar face. The maestro rules, but there are those who want him dethroned. What role does Ruby Summers have in the plan for this dangerous rebellion? Have the rebels genuinely found Odin, the father of the gods, as an ally against the maestro? At number 9, we've got Years of Future Past number 1. In the dystopian nations on Battleworld, the mutants of New York City must fight to survive the rule of the Sentinels. At their center is Kate Pryde, a heroine tried and tested by war and mother of the last mutant ever to be born before the purges of the Mutant Control Act. With Revolution on the wind, the X-Men are not a broken team with nothing left to lose, but a desperate family with more at risk than ever before. And at number 10, we've got X-Tinction Agenda number 1, 10 years since the fall of Cameron Hodge and his fascist regime, 10 years that Havoc and Wolfsbane have labored to rebuild Genosha, but their work may have been for naught as a plague is spread across their nation, infecting mutants and threatening their race with extinction. With the country quarantined and seemingly abandoned by the rest of the world, including the X-Men, old friends may become new enemies as Genosha's rulers fight to save their people. Experience an alternate future fueled by the events of the landmark First X crossover of 1990, X-Tinction Agenda. For the best the rest from DC Comics, we've got Action Comics number 41, the new epic storyline Truth Begins. For Superman, there's no more holding back. Next, we have Batman Beyond number 1. At last, Batman Beyond gets his own ongoing series in the definitive future of the DCU. But this isn't the Beyond you think you know. With the Justice League missing and without Bruce to guide him, this new Batman will need to explore this bizarre world on his own while fighting to raise humanity from an opponent that's already won. The heroes Batman knew have failed, the world he knew has been turned on its head, and every step he takes will lead him either toward finding home or further down the road of disaster. We've also got Bat-Mite number 1 of 6. Bat-Mite is here to fix the DC Universe, one hero at a time. Convinced that he's the imp that put Batman on the map, he's spreading his expertise all over the DC Universe, eager to boost the careers of heroes he thinks need his help. Don't miss the start of this 6-issue all-ages miniseries. Next, we have Bizarro number 1 of 6. Hate Harley Quinn? Then you will super hate Bizarro. Bizarro star of worstest comic ever. Go ahead and miss it. If there's one thing this issue not have it, these two things, Jimmy Olsen and Chupacabras. Don't miss the start of this 6-issue all-ages miniseries. We've also got Green Arrow number 41. Green Arrow returns to Seattle to find the city in chaos. What's causing this destruction, and can Ollie stop it before it spreads beyond the city? Next, we have Midnighter #1. Spinning out of Grayson comes a solo series starring the man who can predict your every move, but no one will be able to predict what he'll do next. A theft at the God Garden has unleashed a wave of dangerous biotech weapons on the world, and Midnighter intends to put that genie back in the bottle by any means necessary. But something else was stolen from the garden as well, the secret history of Lucas Trent, the man Midnighter once was. We've also got Omega Men #1. The Omega Men are back in an all-new series. They've murdered White Lantern Kyle Rayner, and now the universe wants them to pay. Who are these intergalactic criminals, and is there more to their actions than meets the eye? And we've got Wonder Woman Annual #1. The epic finale to the war-torn storyline is here. Wonder Woman faces off against Donna Troy, who's destined to become her ultimate nemesis in a battle that will seal the fate of Paradise Island. Plus, in the backup story, discover the circumstances of Hippolyta's rise to queen as an ancient threat pits the Amazons against the Spartans. From Marvel Comics, we've got Amazing Spider-Man #18.1. Spiral continues. The gang war continues to rock New York City as Spidey and the Wraith do their level best to keep it contained. But Wraith and Spidey's methodologies don't always gel, and Spidey's methodologies make him a nail for Hammerhead to smash. Next, we have Armor Wars #1. A shadow falls over an armored utopia. Technopolis, amazing domain of science and wonder created by rival genius brothers Tony and Arno Stark. A utopia, except a unique disease forces everyone to wear armor to live and breathe. In this armored land, a hero is murdered, and the killer's identity a mystery Baron Tony Stark must solve. But in doing so, will Technopolis be forced into a civil war? We've also got giant-sized Little Marvel AVX #1, the toughest, funniest, craziest, and most adorable Marvel heroes throw down, featuring all your favorites including Cyclops, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Wolverine. They're all here, just shorter. Scotty Young brings out the big guns in this series fans have been waiting for. Next, we have Groot #1. For the first time ever, the most famous talking tree thing in the Marvel Universe is starring in his own series. You might recognize him from the Guardians of the Galaxy, the biggest movie of 2014. When Rocket and Groot are on an intergalactic road trip and calamity strikes, the two get separated, and for the first time in years, Groot's on his own. Written by comedic ace Jeff Loveness and drawn by Marvel Comics newcomer Brian Kessinger, get a front row seat for explosions, space sharks, aliens, and intergalactic hitchhiking. Yeah, baby, you heard that right. Whatever may be coming Groot's way, one thing's for sure, it's going to be a Groot adventure. We've also got Guardians Team Up #6. Nightcrawler journeys to a far-off world to represent Earth in their celebrated interplanetary blade fighting competition. His hopes to acquit himself well are abruptly stalled when it turns out he's facing Gamora in the semifinals. Next, we have Master of Kung Fu #2 of 4. Villainous betrayal, martial arts mastery, kung fu action. Shang-Chi may have found a new home with the lower caste, but can he keep them safe? Can Shang-Chi keep his vow of peace? Will Laughing Skull laugh last, or will Shang-Chi kick that smile right off his face? We've also got Secret Wars Battleworld #2 of 4. Blade is on the trial of the dreaded Count Dracula, but not if Howard the Duck has something to say about it. Spoiler, he does. Rising star David Walker and J.J. Kirby tell the tale of the Daywalker trapped in a city of ducks. The death of his daughter has made gladiator Thaddeus Ross a true war machine, but will he ever find vengeance in the ring or become the monster he hates? Donny Cates and Marco Torrini bring the pain and the glory. Next, we have Spider-Woman #8, a knockdown, drag-out bout between Spider-Woman and a dangerous new foe, Lady Caterpillar, and Spider-Woman's first joint investigation with Ben Urich comes to a close. We've also got Superior Iron Man #9. Superior Iron Man is dead. Long live Superior Iron Woman. A surprising betrayal. An epic battle. Could this end in the death of the Tony Stark we know and love? And we've got Thanos, the Infinity Relativity hardcover. A nihilist lord of the negative zone makes a renewed assault on the positive universe, searching for a source of infinite power. To stop him, a fragile alliance of cosmic protectors forms. The Guardians of the Galaxy, Gladiator, Magister of the Shi'ar, and Adam Warlock, whose complex cycle of death and rebirth has left him more confused than ever about his true nature. With Adam reunited with his Infinity Watch comrades Gamora, Drax, and Pip the Troll, and joined by newer friends like Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot, they hold the potential to end a nihilist threat once and for all, if only they knew how. But the answer lies in the dark mind of another, a Titan whom some would hold as mad. Could the fate of everything rest in the hands of Thanos? Cosmic Maestro Jim Starlin's Infinite Odyssey continues. From Boom Studios, we've got Broken World number 1 of 4. With a meteor days away from causing an extinction-level event on Earth, time is running out for Elena Marlowe. While most of the planet's population and her family were approved by the government to escape on one of the giant spaceships heading to another planet, her application was denied due to her mysterious past. With the meteor fast approaching, Elena desperately tries to find a way to fake her way onto the last ship or else be left behind to die with the rest of Earth's rejected Denzians. From Image Comics, we've got Jupiter's Circle number 3. Fitz Fenton is part of America's greatest super team. When he meets a sweet small-town girl on one of his missions, sparks fly, but at what cost? With his family back home and his teammates to contend with, Fitz must choose between a promising new life and the respect of those he holds dear. Next, we have Morning Glories number 46, Independent Study. And we've got The Wicked plus the Divine number 11, The End of Fandemonium, The End of Ragnarok, The End of the Ark, the start of something else. Everything's going to be okay. From Valiant Entertainment, we've got Dead Drop number 2 of 4. The all-new conspiracy thriller continues from red-hot creators Alice Cott and Adam Gorham. The biotechnology that is threatening to end us all is out in the streets of New York, and Archer is the only one who can stop it, with his bow and arrows, without pants. The group responsible for stealing the virus continues to play the city against the team, but who are they? And we've got Imperium number 5, all new arc, all new jumping on point, Broken Angels Part 1. Toyo Harada will create utopia, he just needs the right weapons first. The most powerful man in the world has collected an assembly of monsters, killers, and supervillains, and now he set his sights on the last asset his team needs, the renegade scientist called Broken Angel. The only thing standing in his way? An army of enhanced soldiers guarding a top-secret, highly fortified facility deep underwater. The impossible heist begins here. Out in trades this week, we've got Batman Noir, The Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition hardcover. For the first time, DC Comics collects Frank Miller's unforgettable Dark Knight epic in black and white. It is 10 years after an aging Batman is retired and Gotham City is sunk into decadence and lawlessness. Now, as his city needs him most, the Dark Knight returns in a blaze of glory. Joined by Carrie Kelly, a teenage Robin, Batman takes to the streets to end the threat of the mutant gangs that have overrun the city. And after facing off against the Joker and Two-Face for the final time, Batman finds himself in mortal combat with his former ally, Superman, in a battle that only one will survive. And we've got Star Wars, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 2 hardcover. The very first Star Wars comic book series continues. After the events of The Empire Strikes Back, lovable rogue Han Solo is lost, frozen in carbonite. But as the search for Solo begins, Imperial forces and other troubles keep getting in the way. Princess Leia clashes with Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker goes on trial for treason, C-3PO and R2-D2 face danger on a droid moon, Lando Calrissian finds Cloud City deserted. If the Crimson Forever doesn't get the rebels, maybe the new Imperial superweapon will, and a new member joins the gang with a crush on a certain handsome Jedi. Meanwhile, the discovery of a gold statue of Han reveals a hidden story from his and Chewbacca's past. And who are the Hoojibs? It's Star Wars in the mighty Marvel manner, collecting Star Wars number 45 through 78 and annual number 2. Okay, so that's just a few of my favorite books out this week. There's still plenty of others available, and I broke out all the Marvel titles this week in their own video, as well as a separate video for all of DC, and even a video with the top independent publishers, and you can find them all on my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com. And we'll also have links up on the leagueofnerds.com, our Facebook page, so be sure to like us there too. And of course, you can follow everything I'm reading on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find links to everything in the About section at he'sgotissues.com. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.